Welcome to Reddit Audio Tales, where real stories come to life, drama, betrayal, revenge, and shocking twists. Imagine this: a devoted husband warns his wife about her sketchy ex. She ignores him, goes on a trip, and when she comes back, the locks are changed, her bags are gone, and divorce papers are waiting. So sit back and enjoy this story. My name is Richard, and for the longest time I thought of myself as a good husband. I'll be honest, I've always been the kind of guy who believes in giving people the benefit of the doubt. I don't like drama, I don't snoop through my wife's phone, and I don't get worked up over little things. I figured that's how a good husband should be. But looking back, maybe I was too forgiving. See, my wife, Vanessa, she's not a bad person. But she has this habit, pushing limits, testing how far she can go before I react. Sometimes it's harmless, like spending a little too much money on things we don't need or staying out later than she said she would. But other times, it feels like she's checking to see if I'll actually stand up for myself. And then there's Jake. I've known for years that Jake is not just a friend. He's her ex, and I don't care how much time has passed. Men like him don't just hang around for no reason. They wait. They linger in the background, playing the nice guy, waiting for the right moment. I brought it up more than once, told Vanessa straight up, I don't trust that guy. But every time she brushed it off, said I was being dramatic, that I was jealous for no reason. He's just a friend. You're overthinking it. He's like a brother to me. All the classic lines. I wanted to believe her. So I let it go again and again. I told myself I was overreacting, that I was being insecure. But trust? Trust has a limit. And she was about to find out exactly where mine ended. One evening, Vanessa and I were sitting in the living room after dinner, just unwinding like we usually did. She scrolled through her phone, casually chatting about her day, when she mentioned a weekend trip. Some of her old friends were planning a getaway at a beach house in the Bahamas, a chance to relax, catch up, and relive some of their college memories. On the surface, it sounded harmless. I had no problem with her spending time with her friends. We had always respected each other's independence, and I never believed in being a controlling husband. But then she said something that made my stomach tighten. Jake was going. The moment his name left her lips, I knew this conversation wasn't as casual as she was making it seem. Something in her tone, in the way she looked at me, told me that this wasn't just an innocent update about her plans. It was a test. She wasn't just telling me about the trip. She was waiting for my reaction, watching to see if I would object and tell her not to go. And that's exactly what she wanted. For years I had warned her about Jake. I wasn't an overly jealous man, but I knew what I saw. Jake wasn't some harmless friend. He was a man waiting for an opportunity, and I wasn't about to pretend otherwise. But this time, I didn't react the way Vanessa expected. I didn't argue. I didn't remind her why Jake was a problem. I didn't list the countless times I had let things slide in the past. I just looked at her and said, if you go, don't bother coming back. She blinked at me, caught off guard, and then she laughed. She shook her head, smirking like I was being ridiculous. God, Richard, you're so dramatic, she said, rolling her eyes. Then came the usual excuses, the same ones she always used when I voiced my concerns. You're overreacting. Jake's just a friend. You really need to stop being so insecure. I didn't fight. I didn't argue. I just looked at her. My voice calmed and said, do what you want, and I meant it. She thought I was bluffing just like she always did. She had no idea that this time I was completely serious. The morning of her trip, Vanessa moved around the house as if nothing had changed. She hummed to herself while packing, carefully folding her clothes and choosing which outfits to bring. She took her time, pausing now and then to check her phone, probably responding to the group chat about the trip. Every so often, she'd glance at me, expecting me to say something, to remind her of what I had told her, but I didn't. I just watched. When she was done, she wheeled her suitcase to the front door and walked over to me. Leaning down, she pressed a quick kiss to my cheek, just like she always did before leaving for any trip. Love you, she said, her tone light, almost dismissive, as if my warning 2 days ago had never happened. Then, without a second thought, she grabbed her keys and walked out the door. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. I watched from the window as she tossed her suitcase into the trunk of the taxi, slid into the passenger's seat, and pulled out of the driveway. The moment the taxi turned a corner, disappearing, I got to work. First, I changed the locks. I had already made arrangements with a locksmith the day before, and within the hour, the house was secured. The next step was handling her belongings. I started packing her clothes, her shoes, her makeup, and all the little things she had scattered around our home. Everything that belonged to her was neatly packed into boxes, waiting to be delivered to her parents' house. I didn't want her to have any excuse to come back, not even to pick up a forgotten sweater. Then came the final step, the divorce papers. I called my lawyer that morning and told him I would be getting divorced, so all the documents should be prepared. There was no hesitation, no second guessing. This wasn't an empty threat. I had warned her and she chose to ignore me. Vanessa had convinced herself that nothing would change when she got back. She thought she could go on this trip, laugh with her friends, spend time with Jake and return home like everything was normal. She thought she had me figured out, that I would grumble about it for a few days, maybe give her the silent treatment and then eventually let it go. But this time was different. I wasn't going to be the man who let his wife walk all over him. I wasn't going to be the husband who got disrespected and still welcomed her back like nothing had happened. I had drawn a line and she had crossed it. Now she was going to find out exactly what that meant. I hadn't given Vanessa much thought when I left for work on the morning of the day she came back. As far as I was concerned, she was a part of my past. The decision had been made, the preparations executed, and I was ready to move forward. I assumed she was still at the beach house enjoying her trip, completely unaware that when she returned. But then on the fourth day, 3 days earlier than planned, she showed up. I wouldn't have even known if it weren't for the camera I had installed outside. An alert popped up on my phone during lunch and out of curiosity I checked the live feed. There she was, standing on the porch, bags at her feet, her hand gripping the doorknob. She tried turning it but the door didn't budge. She tried again. Then again. Then again. I watched her step back, her eyebrows furrowing as confusion set in. She leaned in closer, looking at the lock, and that's the moment she realized. The lock had been changed. Vanessa fumbled for her phone and within seconds mine started ringing. I let it ring a few times before answering. "Richard," she breathed, her voice already shaking. "The door won't open." "You don't live there anymore," I said, my tone calm and detached. "Your things are at your parents' house. Expect the divorce papers in a week or two." There was a long silence. I could hear her breathing, shaky and uneven, like she was trying to process what I had just said. Then her voice returned, desperate this time. "Richard, please wait. Let me just..." I ended the call before she could finish. A few seconds later my phone started buzzing again. She called once. Then again. Then again. Her name kept flashing across the screen but I ignored every single one. After the 6th attempt I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I wasn't interested in whatever story she was about to spin. Then the messages started. "Richard, please talk to me. I messed up. I'm so sorry. It's not what it looks like." I sat there staring at my phone, watching the notifications pile up. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even sad. I just felt nothing. This was the same woman who had laughed in my face when I warned her not to go. The same woman who had kissed me goodbye so sure that I wouldn't do a damn thing about it. And now she was begging me to listen. A new message popped up. "Please pick up. There's something important I need to tell you." I still didn't move. I checked the camera again. Vanessa was pacing on the porch, her face red, her hands shaking. She looked frantic now, running her fingers through her hair, probably wondering how the hell things had spiraled so fast. She was crying, yelling at the door, begging me to pick up. Then after a long pause, she stopped texting. Instead, she sent a voice note. I hesitated before playing it, but eventually I hit play. Her voice was a wreck, shaky, full of sobs, like she had completely lost control of herself. She wasn't just upset. She was terrified. "Richard, please listen to me. You were right about Jake. I should have listened to you. I swear I never expected any of this to happen. I drank too much and when I woke up it was..." She sobbed, gasping for air. "Jake did something. He recorded it. He's blackmailing me? I'm telling you now because I don't want you to find out from someone else. Please, Richard. I don't know what to do. I need you. I swear I didn't mean for this to happen." She was desperate, begging, hoping that because she had been wronged I would step in and save her. That I would take her back and clean up the mess she had created. I listened to the entire thing, sitting in complete silence. Then I typed out one last message. The final thing I would ever say to her. "Enjoy your life, Vanessa. You made your choice. Now live with it." And with that I blocked her. I never looked back. Not once did I check in on Vanessa, ask how she was doing or wonder if she was okay. I had spent enough time giving her the benefit of the doubt, only to have her throw it back in my face. She made her choice and now she had to live with it. From what I heard, it didn't take long for her life to start falling apart. Her parents weren't happy with her. They didn't know all the details. I never felt the need to explain myself, but they knew enough. They knew she had walked out of a good marriage, that she had gone on that trip despite my warning, and that when she returned, her home was no longer hers. Her mother tried to be supportive, but her father? He was furious. He had always liked me, respected me, and saw me as a steady man who took care of his daughter. Now he had to take in that same daughter because she had nowhere else to go. Her friends weren't much better. A few of them tried to reach out, sending me messages and making weak attempts at justifying what had happened. Richard, she's really sorry. You don't have to end things over one mistake. At least hear her out. I ignored every single one of them. I didn't care what they had to say. They weren't the ones who had to live with her choices. And I had made it clear that I was done. Then there was Jake, the man she had risked everything for. The moment he realized there was trouble in paradise, he vanished. I'm sure he thought he was untouchable, but when Vanessa started talking about how he had recorded her without consent, that changed everything. He knew damn well he could get arrested for blackmail, and just like that, he disappeared. The guy she threw her marriage away for wouldn't even answer her calls. So there she was, alone, humiliated, and full of regret. Meanwhile, I moved on. I focused on myself, my job, my future. I refused to waste a single second wondering if she missed me, or if she realized how badly she had messed up. But deep down I already knew from the unending messages she kept sending. Some mistakes can't be undone. Some choices have consequences that you can't escape from. She thought I was bluffing. She thought I was just making an empty threat. She was wrong. And that, folks, is the story of how my wife learned that when you push someone too far, sometimes they never let you back in. That's it for today's story on Reddit Audio Tales. What do you think? Did Richard do the right thing, or was he too harsh? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a wild Reddit tale. More crazy stories coming soon. Stay tuned.